Hey guys, this is Miss Braun. I'm going to be doing the lesson 17 problem set, and I'm just going to be talking about mental benchmarks and estimation. And then if you want to go measure the actual length, you can. Okay. So let's talk about what mental benchmark and estimation is. A mental benchmark is not an exact measurement, but an object that you already know that you might be able to measure with to estimate it. So, for instance, I know that my hand to my elbow is close to a foot. So I can use that as a mental benchmark for how long or wide something is. So I'm going to say my arm, okay, as my mental benchmark. And the width of the door from my elbow to my hand would be like my arm. How many of those, how many feet do I think it might be? So if I measure it with my arm as my mental benchmark, it might be 2 arms. Okay? Then an estimation means how many feet or inches do you think that it is? Okay? So you're making your best guess. I think in feet, my door might be 2 feet wide. Then I could go measure it with my ruler or my tape measure if I wanted. All right, let's do the width of the whiteboard or chalkboard. So I'm just going to use a small whiteboard or chalkboard, like a personal one. And if I'm doing a mental benchmark, that's probably only one of my arm. And for my estimation, I think that's only 1 feet because I'm using a small one. And I could actually measure it if I wanted to. All right, height of my desk. Remember, that's from like the floor to the desk. So my mental benchmark, I think it might be 2 arms. So I'm going to write 2 arms. And then for feet, again, if I thought one of my arms was a foot, I could put 2 feet. All right, length of the desk means how long it is from one side to the other. So my desk is fairly small, but it's still about 2 arms and 2 feet as my estimation. I think that that's how long it is as well. Again, you could go measure these with your ruler or your tape measure for the actual length. Length of a reading book. All right. So now if I want to think about inches, I need to think of an object that is about an inch. So I'm just going to use my thumb. I think the length of my thumb is probably the length of 1 inch. And I like to use body parts for my mental benchmark because I always have them to measure, right? So let's say the length of the book, if I'm talking about inches, is probably, I'm going to say 6 inches. All right. Remember length, like the top to the bottom. And then, oops, right here I meant my mental benchmark would be 6 thumbs. And then for inches, I'm going to estimate that it's 6 inches. And then I could actually measure it with a ruler or a tape measure. All right. So I'm going to measure the length of a crayon. And if you ever don't have one of these objects, you can just cross it out and put something else. Like if you don't have a crayon, just cross off the word crayon and put pen or a marker or whatever you want to put. Okay, mental benchmark of a crayon. So I'm going to use my inches again. So maybe that's 3 thumbs. And my estimation might be 3 inches. Length of the room. I'm going to go back to using feet, but even more than that, I could try yards. So a good way to measure yards is by putting your arms out and both arms, the span from one fingertip to the other. Your arm span is about a yard. So the length of the room, I'm going to estimate with my arm span, it's probably 24 in my house. So my room is 24 arm spans, which would be 24 yards. Length of a pair of scissors, I could do inches, back to my thumb. So I'm going to say that that's 3 inches. thumbs, or 3 inches is my estimation. But then you can measure it for real. And the length of the window, I probably want to use feet. So I'm going to say my arm. So how many feet do I think my window is using my arm? Probably 4 arms or 4 feet. Right? And again, you can go back, and if you want to use your ruler or your tape measure, you can go measure these objects to see how much they actually are in length. Just don't forget to start at 0 when you're measuring on your ruler. All right, good luck for this problem set.